It is another Monday edition of the ChairShot Podcast, coming to you Monday Eve / Tuesday morn when it hits your devices, most likely. If you're in the Great Britain or the Republic of Ireland, we hope this gets you through your sleepy Tuesday. Well, we've all been skiving. We've been enjoying our little 3-day weekend there. It was glorious. Although do the Americans have one? Labor Day? Is that not this same weekend? Is that not? Do they not just have that?
Oh, that's in October or something.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'm way wrong. Okay, is it May Day?
Oh, no, wait.
Yeah, May Day.
September. 1st of September is Labor Day.
What's May Day? Is May Day then not? Okay, so that's out. That's a Labor Day.
May Day is Workers' Day.
Workers' Day.
That's what they say when the ship is going to start sinking.
So, yeah, and they blame the Union boys who built this. That's where that comes from. And that's why we had a Monday off today, in remembrance of the Titanic, which our nations share history on.
We all stand around the maypole and sing "Our Hearts Will Go On" in remembrance.
Either of you ever done the Titanic tour up in old Belfast?
No, I've only been to Belfast once.
Was it see an OTT show?
Yeah, right.
I went to multiple of those and they were always like house shows. But anyway, go on. We won't talk about that.
No. It was when I was a kid. I was in Belfast. I've never seen the Titanic Museum. That, along with the Giant Causeway, are the two Northern Irish landmark things that I've never seen.
You could go see the Game of Thrones thing. That's up there.
You can see Game of Thrones.
Oh, I can see where they filmed that show that I kind of enjoyed.
yeah, where they filmed a bunch of the establishing shots.
Was this in season 1 and 2, or one of the bad ones?
I think it is mostly in the good ones, to be fair.
Okay,
I think
good.
I mean, back into that show, a lot standing in front of what I don't think was an actual place. Kind of everyone complained about the story stuff. Kind of underrated fact that like the big Clegane fight looked like a shite compared to the beginning of the show, because it was just two lads standing on like a panto set with a green screen in the background showing a battle.
It's inevitable. After that many seasons, they just gave up, didn't they? Basically, that's it. That's like, fair enough.
Oh dear. Anyway, we've got a jam-packed show. We've got some telly to talk about. We got some movies to talk about, and of course some wrestling. Another interesting week in wrestling. Another interesting week across the world of wrestling. We got some WWE news. We got some New Japan shake-ups. We've got some AEW TV to discuss, of course. Again, it is the bank holiday though. Worth shouting out. I thought it was a lovely weekend here.
It was here also.
This weekend is in my hometown of Limerick. Is typically pretty much the busiest weekend of the year. We had a marathon on, which I actually knew. I was really feeling like a lazy shit this weekend. I knew about 10 people running the marathon. Not me, baby. Just text me your order before you start running. I'll be in the beer garden. I'll have it for you when you're done. Multiple people who came to me afterwards, like hobbling over, like their legs stiff, lactic acid all over the place, and they're just like really cherishing that first sip, and it's like, oh, it was all worth it. And I'm like, it was all worth it, wasn't it? I mean, I didn't feel like coming out today, but I got up and I walked down here. You know, I got us this chair, which is really tough because a lot of big crowds out.
That was your marathon. That was
my marathon. I did unironically make people feel bad about that. I was like, I had to. At least 2 people said, "Is this chair taken?" And I said, "Yes, it is taken," which is very big of me. I didn't just say, "No, you can just have it." But no, it was a lovely weekend here, and most importantly, 4-day work week, which is the real thing we're celebrating. How have your weekends been, boys?
Well, you say 3-day weekend, Barry. A lot of people in the world take the Thursday, the 1st of May off. That's the public holiday in a lot of countries. And people who take, when it falls like it does this year, Thursday off, a lot of people take the Friday off, which made up the majority of the workforce that I work with. So I had nobody working Thursday, nobody working Friday, and then I was off Monday. So it was a lovely, basically a 5-day weekend. It was great.
Perfect.
No, I think I got a few bits and pieces done, as you do. But I will have a meeting with my boss first thing in the morning. He'll be saying, "Well, what have you been up to lately, pal?" And I say, "I don't remember the last work I did. It was so long ago." Oh, Jesus. I do have a meeting with the solicitor tomorrow now on the topic of l'achat du nouveau domicile. So looking forward to that. We got, I talked about this already, right? That we got an email from the sellers who were like, what's all the delays about?
Yeah.
What are you telling me about delays? But it does seem like we are now on the final steps. I did have to reapply for the old mortgage, but I think that's just going to fly through. Since we have more money and my salary is more than it was the first time I applied. So I'd be very surprised if they now turned around and said, well, we're not so sure. So that should be fine. And then put the money down, get the keys, move in, do all that. So that'll be the project for the summer, I'd say, probably sometime in June. That'll probably be done. So finally, after 9 months, was it? October? Yeah. 9 months all in all, I think it would have been. So get the old studio apartment, the new set for this, the new location. So looking forward to that. And I don't know how long it'll take to move in because we've a lot of stuff to move, but should be fun.
I think you'll find that it'll go quicker than, because I mean you've experienced the real pain of everything, the most drawn out process of your life, which is this, and then everything has to go as fast as humanly possible. But the fun bit, I mean, the studio, that's the fun bit. Doing much as I did, your little corner where you do your little shows, your little internet shows. That's the most fun bit. And you put your own little spin on your own little corner, and it'll be the sweetest rewards when you get to do that.
Very looking forward to it. And then there probably will be I'm going to say 2026. Probably will be a little dog happening or something.
Oh, baby, let's fucking go.
Or a little dog happening, or a cat. I wouldn't turn out. I am allergic to cats, but I would still have one.
Get one of each.
Yeah, get one of each.
I mean, I love that setup.
Keep each other busy.
Yeah.
Well, I say that from Barry's reports.
Yeah.
They don't keep each other busy. They
sleep all day.
They work together to keep Barry busy.
It is kind of impressive that, like, the cat will retrieve like a breakfast roll wrapper for the dog to rip to pieces and toss all over the living room. Yeah. It's like, I feel like I'm like David Attenborough, and of course he knows he shouldn't have that, but Rosie the dog is going to help him.
Has got the wrapper for the dog.
The dog is shitting the wrapper.
The breakfast roll is but a memory, but the smell is enough.
Oh dear. I mean, a lot of spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Get rid of. I get to the point where if you're anything like me, when you've got something that you want to get rid of, you just chuck it in the wardrobe and don't really think about where it goes. You start around, it's in the wardrobe, close the door. That's now out of sight, out of mind. But then I get to a point after several months where wardrobes and shelves are just literally, you open it and everything falls out. I've got too much in there. So I had a good clear out. Threw away. I have a tendency to hold on to stuff for years and then throw it away. That's just my process. I'm like, well, I don't want to throw this away.
I do the same, but then I never throw it away in the end.
I'm like, I've had it for, wait 5 years, then I can throw it away. That's fine. And so gradually I do get rid of stuff. I did clear out a lot of clothes and I went to take it. There's a local, bank where you chuck your recycling thing. Yeah. It's about, I'd say, a 10-minute walk from the house. I was carrying this bag of clothes for 10 minutes, got there, load of clothes dumped around it. Oh, that's not a good sign. Get there, it's full. Obviously, council haven't emptied it, the bastards. So I have to carry the clothes back to the house for 10 minutes. So that was nice. But I was so annoyed by that. I said, right, let's instead of just putting these in the bank, let's get them on Vinted. Let's make a bit of money with these. So I got Michelle to list a few things on Vinted. And we've made, I think, upwards of £12.
All right.
So that was enough to pay for the ink cartridge to put in the printer to now print out the labels that are going on the packages. So
very nice.
Self-sustaining business.
Yeah. In a way, we're breaking even at this point.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah. So
have you come across any of the people who were like, asking price £4, would you do $3.75?
Yeah, they all offer £1 less, but that's why I said put it £1, put it up £1. Don't put 8, put £9.
Yes, that's why. And
then they offer 8, and I'm like, go on then, you can have your £8.
Yeah, I've done that with a ton of stuff where it's like, well, I know they're gonna offer 75%. So I'm gonna put the price as 125% of what I want, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's not bad prices. So yeah, I was happy with that. Yeah, other than that, out and about a bit. Went to a comedy show. I'll talk about that later in the comedy musical theatre section. But yeah, not too much otherwise. It's mainly been, I'll jump ahead in the lineup here just to while we're on it. It's mainly been a snooker filled week.
Oh,
because it's been the World Championship, of course. It's always
the final is on currently.
The final is on currently. I thought it would have been over very quickly because the Chinese player
Jack Williams
Zhao was one frame away from winning, but in the first half of that session, Mark Williams won all 4 frames, so he's been a little bit of a comeback. I don't think he'll win because Zhao is so far ahead, but yeah, it's been a very exciting year in the old snooker, so I've been watching a lot of that. Michelle's got really into it. She pretends she doesn't like it, but I've got her to second.
She prefers pool.
She every time, she really wants Mark Williams to win because he's old. And she's like, I hope he wins because he's old. And every time he misses, she's like, and then I'm like, yeah, she's into it. Yeah. You can't resist the lure of the green bays and the multicolored balls. So yeah, mainly watching snooker this week. Not a ton of TV and films, but yeah, enjoying that.
Yeah, I've been not watching as much of the snooker, but I'm watching a lot of the footy. We had some interesting footy games in the week, Joe. Start with Inter Milan Barcelona, which was one of the better games I've watched all year. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of that.
I kind of skipped it because I thought Barcelona would just win.
Yeah,
and then I put it on for the last 20 minutes once I saw the score.
It was a very good game. Very good game.
It was, from what I saw, at least in the last 20 minutes, it was just very much like you attack, we attack kind of thing. It was not like let's hold back and stay in shape and just like.
It was a very FIFA feeling game.
It was like throw a punch, you throw a punch, like oof.
Yeah. It was a New Japan forearm exchange in football terms. Very, very good game. This Lamine Yamal kid is the best footballer in the world at the age of 17. He can do it all. So he's carrying Barcelona at the moment, of course.
Yeah.
I still think that Paris Saint-Germain compared to Barcelona, I think have a better team. Overall. So I think Paris have to be the favourites at this stage. I mean, Arsenal looked very flat. I know a lot of the Arsenal fans are saying, it's only one goal. Arsenal could very easily get a result. And that's true. But Arsenal looked so flat in that first game that they'll need to drastically improve to get any kind of result. And then we seem to be heading for the Battle of the Bozos in the Europa League final, Joe, as Spurs and United both got great results in their semi-finals. So we're going to have a European final, which will be the 15th and 16th best teams in England, duking it out for a Champions League spot. It was very funny. I saw a tweet in the week that said, a lot of teams have been very unhappy about the fact that a Champions League spot will be going to, one of these United or Spurs. And it occurred to me that United could get into the Champions League final by virtue of winning the Europa League. Yeah. A competition they are only in by virtue of winning the FA Cup last season. We didn't actually qualify for the Europa League even.
Well, that's how you qualify. That's fair, isn't it? FA Cup.
So United will get into the Champions League potentially via a back door to a back door. Double back-to-back back doors, which doesn't happen very often.
I think I had that on DVD back in the day.
Oh, you dirty boy. But that United match was I would not say a good match, but from the point of view of a United fan who's watching get hammered every week, nice to get a good result against a good team. Kept the Williams boys quiet.
Yeah.
And despite it being 3-0, I'm still a little bit worried that this is a United team that could very easily capitulate. Like I can see Bilbao getting an early goal, and then if it goes to 2-0, that's where we turn into headless chickens. So we will see. And then quite a fun match with Brentford. Even though United played a very rotated squad, it was still a lot of goals, still a lot of fun. I had Mbermo and Wissa in my fantasy Premier League team, so I was happy with that. But Ahmad back. Scores right away. So we do have one of our best players back for the run in. So hopefully that'll help with the Europa League hopes. And apparently James Maddison's out for the season, which also helps us. So fingers crossed there. Liverpool, of course, won the league. Trent's on his way. That's confirmed now. Alexander-Arnold off to Real Madrid, looks like. And so I guess the only thing that's left to be sorted out, because the champions of the Premier League are confirmed, the relegated teams are confirmed, is now who's going to get the top 5 spots. And looking at the fixtures, I wouldn't have thought Arsenal could drop out, but they've got some really tricky fixtures coming up. And if Forest win tonight, that game is currently ongoing. I don't know the score. If Forest win tonight, they'll be in 6th place, but they'll only be 4 points behind Arsenal. So there's only 4 points between second and 6th. So it is very close. We will see. But yeah, been an enjoyable week in football. I'm very much looking forward to the second leg of the Barca Inter match tomorrow. That'll be my highlight. Right, we get onto the wrestling stuff then.
Wrestling stuff, we shall indeed. We had a glut of WWE releases this week. These were these wrestling releases were precluded by a bunch of Office releases as well. I think there was a person from Creative, a couple of other people let go as well. As has kind of become a thing in the TKO era, it seems like some of these were more telling people in advance of their contract running out, we're not renewing you, which has kind of become their thing. Let's just run through the NXT ones first. Now, some of these are real PC, we're not going to know who a lot of these people are.
Is this going to be Norm MacDonald all the style here?
There's a couple of NXT UK names in here, so yes. But starting at the bottom here, and I'll work my way up to the more kind of the most notable ones. You had Danny Palmer, Riley Osborne, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang. That is the entirety of Gallus.
Not the Coffeys.
Well, Joe, they'll probably be back working your neck of the woods soon, so you can go and let the lads know that you believe in Gallus. Oro Mensah, Javier Bernal, Jakara Jackson, Eddie Thorpe, Gigi Dolin, and Cora Jade were the NXT releases. I mean, I think you're talking about like basically the top 2, and then the others are all like kind of youngsters and kind of.
Well, Eddie Thorpe was like Carl Fredericks from New Japan.
Yes. The other one I'm kind of, I think I'm overlooking there. Eddie Thorpe was, because he had left New Japan somewhat unceremoniously. Kind of seemed like he was one of the gaijin that was next in line, maybe, or he certainly thought so, and it just didn't seem like it was going to happen, and he was kind of making it very publicly known that he wasn't happy, and then he left, and then I don't know. I mean,
he was on some takeovers recently.
Yeah, they were using it. Yeah, but I think it also kind of feels like it was not that surprising. Like they were using him, but it's not like he was really, rocket shipped, in this company. I wonder, is it a little bit grass always greener? I mean, we've talked, especially Paul, when you would watch the G1s and stuff. I mean, the glacial pace with which Gato, gets his new guys up and all this other stuff. Maybe, I mean, if Eddie Thorpe, if Carl Fredericks had stayed put. I mean, that's easy to say. You're talking about your prime years. He's a wrestler at the end of the day. He doesn't necessarily want to sit there on the bench. But I don't know if the grass was necessarily greener on this side. Not to instantly do the will these people go to AEW thing, but obviously he was like an LA Dojo guy, and Shibata was the key trainer there. So maybe there's something for him to do in AEW. But again,
maybe a Rocky Romero connection
and a Rocky connection as well. Absolutely. I mean, that's. But I think he's going to run into the exact same problem. You talk about a company right now that nobody, unless it's John Cena, and maybe not even him because he's old and rubbish. Nobody's coming into AEW today and getting the rocket pack on them. It's too loaded. Mm-hmm. So I think is he going to come in and then instantly be sent to Ring of Honor, and be unhappy again? The top 2 names I think are the shockers. Spit it out, Barry. Mainly Cora Jade. I mean, obviously I don't watch NXT, but she's been like the name, one of the names.
Top woman,
the top woman in the. It's like her and Roxanne Perez and Very surprising. Gigi Dolan not pushed as hard, but also their ages and like pushed a respectable amount, you know.
Yeah.
I would love to know what led to those decisions. I mean, some of in the Nick Khan TKO era, there have been some releases that kind of catch you off guard, and it does kind of feel like they're just starting at the top, like highest paid people, and going, are they essential or are they not essential? Of course, in some really uncritically parroting PR moment, Meltzer said that a lot of the NXT cuts were due to perceived laziness and untrainability, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. Between that and the Triple H, I work 6 hours a week or 6 hours a day. He probably meant 6 hours a week. There's been some real hey, don't get mad at us, very shitty don't get mad at us spin out there this week.
Laughing at that 6 hours a day thing.
Especially because it was
good.
6 to 8 hours just on the booking was the leak, I guess. But I was kind of thinking, so they're trying to basically cover for the fact that a lot of even their own fans are like, this is rubbish. But wouldn't it make more sense to, if I was doing this spin there, right? I was making 700,000 quid a year to leak rubbish to the internet, which is what they pay, right? Surely you would say he only has like 1 hour a day because of all his other office shit. Saying you're working harder than you've ever worked to write Gunther versus Pat McAfee is not impressive to me at all. But that's a sidebar. Yeah, I think Jade and Dolan are the two interesting names there. I haven't seen very much of Gigi Dolan since she went to NXT, but I remember she was like a solid like TV wrestler.
Yeah,
back in her
property in AEW in the early days.
Yes, yeah. So those are the two ones to watch. Jade, I believe, has also had the NXT knee issues. So we'll see there. But yeah, those are the NXT names.
I mean, I would say Cora Jade would be one to pick up specifically because she seems to have a very big.
She has a base. Yes.
Yeah.
But my thing is she the type of wrestler that they need in AEW? Because I think she's handicapped by the fact that I think NXT is just terrible, and so maybe in a different context, because she was in it. She was another one of these wrestlers that we don't really talk about it much anymore because it's been up a million years. But like there was a period like early in COVID where it was like all these like somewhat noteworthy indie names like Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan, they would work at AEW Dark, and Tony Khan be giving them a little spin, and it's this person is gone. It's signed instantly to WWE. I mean, that was that's kind of gone by the wayside, but that was a very funny pattern for a while. So maybe she can. It's just whenever I'd watch the clips in NXT, it's because NXT is like worse than like Raw and SmackDown in terms of like the campiness, the acting, the characters. It's so like I can't get a good feel for how anyone would do in like a normal wrestling show when they're on NXT. So maybe those two and I mean Cora Jade she's a main eventer. She was basically a main eventer in that company.
But in saying that, the people who are her following are first and foremost WWE fans.
Yes, yeah. And as we've kind of seen with people like Mercedes, kind of like these days they don't go to the new promotion necessarily.
No, they are fans of her in WWE.
They like click on any Mercedes TikTok or Instagram, comments are all, I can't wait. I hope you come back soon. I like as if she has, as if it's like her account is in memoriam, and they're all like, oh, I miss you so much. Oh, it's not the same since you died. That's the way people comment on her Instagram. So yeah, I mean, we really are in the that era, but main roster side of things, a couple of names that maybe raise an eyebrow, but maybe not any huge shockers. I would start with these three first: Shotzi, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance. I mean, they're never being used. Shotzi, they seem to go very hot and cold with. She'd be all over the show for a certain period, and then they'd lose interest. She's had her share of injuries as well. Katana Chance is what a god awful name. My God, she was the American Ninja Warrior reality show.
Yes,
the teeny tiny gymnast. I thought she was all right at various points, but again, they never.
But in WWE, that doesn't matter. I mean, none of the three of them connected or had any real personality that kind of got over.
Yeah, Katana Chance in particular was very kind of wooden. Kate Carter was her tag partner. Then I think the big three of your main roster, you had Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Braun Strowman.
Shayna never got a proper go after NXT. She was great in NXT and never got any kind of real push in the main roster. Dakota, I was surprised by, but she is injured quite a lot.
Yes, yeah. So she's had I think both the knees. I'm fairly sure. But what's interesting about Kai and I believe Strowman, they were both pre Vince ousting releases.
Yeah,
and then they were big. Uncle Paul is bringing them back. And I mean, he has never done anything with. I mean, Damage Control. She was in Damage Control. That was what Dakota Kai was in, and that has always like she has always been third rung in that unit by far. Never done anything meaningful with her at all. Again, like she does have the injuries, but I think at times she's been really great, and I liked her in like the. What was it called? The Mae Young. I liked her in that.
I liked her back in NXT.
I liked her in NXT stuff. We haven't been locked in on Monday Night Raw, unfortunately, so I'm not going to say.
That's the thing. When I say I liked her in NXT, it was like 7 years ago.
7 years ago, and like at least one of the injuries back as well. So I don't know. I would be curious to see her in AEW because she has at times been excellent, and great, and yeah, so I definitely curious. Shayna, yeah, absolutely agree. Again, another one who kind of like never got a fair shake under Vince for obvious reasons because she's like the least Vince wrestler ever. But then also, Uncle Paul takes over in the main roster. She doesn't get a fair shake there either. I wonder, obviously, the very amusing situation with her and Jade. I wonder if that was a factor.
Possibly,
you know, because Shayna's also been around for ages, so she's probably on decent money, and she's like, all right, you're making the top stars, you know, you're bruising them, you're giving them a little boo boo, so you have to go. Braun, it felt like in the dying days of us watching WWE programming before AEW, it kind of felt like there was a teeny window where they maybe had something with Braun.
Yes, that's long gone,
and it's long gone. Vince didn't capitalize on it, and then Triple H didn't capitalize. Although Triple H at the very least, I mean, Triple H seemed to bring him back in just to put people over. They haven't,
which he did a very good job of.
He did a right job of, yeah. So, I don't know if Control Your Narrative is coming back or where he's gonna go. But
where's what's his name?
EC3.
Derek Bateman. Yeah,
is he still the NWA champion? Who is the current NWA
champion,
world champion? Bram. Okay. God. I mean, at the end of the day, look, they sold a lot of Smashing Pumpkins records. If At Billy wants to pay Braun Strowman 7 figures to wrestle on that YouTube show, is that even? I don't even know.
I think Braun will just between WWE letting him go and picking him up again, he basically did nothing, and I anticipate he'll go back to doing nothing.
Yeah, he did that. He did the cancelled wrestler promotion with 6 fans in attendance, and
he'll do his Southern big man podcast. I'm Braun Strowman. I'm here doing my podcast.
I can see in 6 months' time as well when he's talking about like rifle stocks. And which
interviewing Goldberg,
and they're talking about like guns and stuff, and I can see him just getting annoyed. And stop emailing me about wrestling. If you have a question about how to bait a trap, then I don't know. I mean, I've liked Braun at various points to certain degrees, but he seems like such a WWE system guy. What would a Tony Khan get out of paying the probably gigantic check he would ask for?
No, it won't happen.
So,
didn't happen and won't happen.
Didn't happen, and a podcast. Maybe he could get into Hollywood doing the Vladimir Kozlov, stuntman thing. I don't see him working Butterbean at WrestleMania weekend next year. Call it a hunch. I don't see him working, Deadlock. I don't see him grinding. But could be proven wrong. Although last time he was fired, didn't he have that no, actually, it was just before he was fired. He was like slagging indie wrestlers off who were having to do like indie yogos for breaking their legs and stuff, and he was scoffing at that. And then he got fired like 2 weeks later. Yeah, so no real kind of fall out of your chair names on that, I suppose, with the possible exception of Cora.
No, and I saw a lot of what you typically see, which is, look, it's not nice that people get released.
Yeah,
and but AEW let go whoever, Abaddon, Layla Hirsch, whatever. And it's like, well, look, the reality is every wrestling company is going to have a certain amount of turnover, of churn, of talent. And if you want to bring people in, people have to be moved out. And that's the reality of the business, Yeah. So, look, would it be nicer if they, did what they do in Shotzi's case, where the contract's running out and they take the option to not renew it?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. The fact that they can just pull the trigger and release someone is not nice, and really from a contract point of view doesn't really make much sense.
No.
But again, think of the amount of people that WWE has employed or contracted, I should say, and the amount of people they push up through NXT, and they need to have space on the roster for them, and there's a natural life cycle to people's time and opportunity in WWE or in AEW. And so that's kind of the natural run of things, is the unfortunate reality of it. So we'll see. As you said, maybe one or two of them would be nice for an AEW pickup. But AEW, as you said, is also in a place where there's spots for at a premium. Although Kevin Knight recently has been kind of the exception to that. Generally speaking, it's a little tight at the moment.
So that's the WWE news. Crossing the world to the world of Japan, we did get the conclusion of Naito's time in New Japan. Seems cards are fairly close to the chest on where the... I was about to say where the destination would be, if there even is a destination. I mean,
where the destination.
Very good. Very good. It feels increasingly like people are thinking he's just going to take some time off and just not wrestle for a while, and maybe take some much needed,
maybe rehab the knees,
maybe put the old feet up on the old lounger and catch up on Andor, brother. I think you've earned it. It doesn't seem like there's been really much. If there is talks with like AEW or WWE, they certainly aren't leaking out. He's not playing that game, which I think he has been known to do in the past.
The only thing I can see him doing with WWE is if they really want to expand into Japan, as they've said they want to, he wouldn't be a bad figurehead from a fame point of view.
Yes,
I don't see any use for him in AEW at all.
No, because they seem less. I'm sure they're keeping their eye on these various things, but AEW seems less, we have to run the Japanese market. They seem pretty content with their partnership, and we'll go over there once a year and we'll do the Wrestle Dynasty thing. And whereas, WWE still wants to go over and have a WWE branded promotion in that company. And it's funny because Naito is still a big star in Japan to those fans. So I think that would help WWE for their cause. Whereas AEW's thing is very much bringing in New Japan wrestlers to their company to bolster their own US popularity. And as we've talked about in the last few crossovers, there's just none of that anymore. And maybe not is an exaggeration, but there is no meaningful jumping out of your chair, oh my God, Ishii is here. That stuff. Yeah. That stuff is over. And they would maybe pop for his appearance once, and much like, he's not as bad as Ibushi. I'm not saying that, but just like Ibushi, they'd get excited for the first appearance and then they go, oh, this is sad, actually. He's not quite that bad, but he's pretty rough. I guess people are kind of keeping their eyes peeled. Could he do Noah? Could he start up his own thing, or could he just take some time off? We don't really know. But and there was some Stardom jumps, or there was rumored to be some Stardom jumps. Is that the case?
Yeah, I don't have the names in front of me, but there were some retirements. There were some moving companies.
Someone went to Marigold.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I suppose that's the big thing. Yeah, is the Rossi loyalists, God bless them, are jumping over there to him with his little hat. But I mean, I'm out of the loop on Joshi. But
yeah, it was who was it moved? One of the names that you recognize.
This is a great segment. I mean, this is
okay. I
mean, we're gonna start a Patreon that's just our news coverage, and I'm gonna, and it's all the scenes we're really clued in on as well. I actually have some scoops from the Yugoslavian indie scene as well that I'm absolutely clued in on. Yeah, listen, we're not the big Joshi
Okay,
guys.
well, I'm gonna get it up here. Give me a second. Okay. So first of all, Thekla, who is an Austrian,
yes, yeah, I heard of Thekla.
has left. Yeah, has left and is apparently AEW bound potentially. Who else do we have? See, Thekla, Mayu Iwatani.
That was
signed for Marigold after leaving Stardom.
Okay, and that's a big. She's like a top star there. So she's
a top star. So that seemed like a case where she was kind of waiting to be able to leave, basically.
Yes, yeah.
We had the Tam Nakano retirement.
She retired. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, that's...
So she made a couple of AEW appearances. Yeah. She retired following loss to Saya Kimatani at All Star Grand Queendom. And there was one more. Oh, Meiko Satomura, of course, retired.
Oh yes, Meiko retired, of course. Yeah, which I heard that show was a lot of fun to watch, and the send off was lovely.
So it did see it seemed like within 1 week there was all this crazy movement.
Yeah. It is funny as well because it was like when Marigold formed, there was all this rumor that Rossi was trying to pinch talent, and then it was like, no, absolutely not. That was absolutely not. And then the second their contract comes up, like a few months after that split happens, people are jumping straight.
The press conference was very funny as well. Somebody asked outright, was there poaching involved? No. This all came together after her contract, after it was announced that she was leaving.
It's the same as all the WWE AEW stuff. Whenever either side is asked, are you talking to so and so? There's rumors of this contract coming up, and everyone's like, we wouldn't possibly be talking to that person while they're still under contract to the other company. I mean, it's so funny. That is the to's and fro's in the world of Japanese wrestling.
CSP outed as not Joshi experts. I'm sorry,
not yet. Wait until we pivot big time. I mean, if we can change. We're like Chris Jericho. We could repackage ourselves, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Bridging the gap between the world of Japanese wrestling and us on this side of the world, we did finally get the Forbidden Door details in the last it was about a week ago, was it? I think we just about missed it on our last show, did we?
That was Monday, pre-sale Monday. But there were two pre-sales. There was the AEW Elite, the VIPs among us, pre-sale. Then there was the Ticketmaster pre-sale, which is for the scum.
Did we get our press passes? I didn't check my email today.
They heard the last segment and revoked them.
They were like, we can't have these fucking guys coming along going, and speculating on the contract status of people whose names they don't know. And you know what? Dead right. You got us.
Dead right. Fair enough.
So were either of you boys going for tickets? Or did you get tickets?
I got mine in the first pre-sale.
Ooh.
It was the usual, just shitty shit show, which we all know by now with Ticketmaster. All of these services, it's just horrible because you go on there, they've only released like 10% of the tickets, so you're not sure if they sold all these tickets, which ones are released, are they going to go up, are they going to go down? So it's just like, I did just get some that I was happy. I had a block in mind because we go to the O2 Arena quite a lot, so we know like our way around it. So I was like, okay, I want either this block or this block. I got it there, that block. I was happy with it. It was two tickets, 160 quid each, which, to be fair, less than I spent last year, certainly. And not that bad by today's standards, although it's an hour, The next block over was like 250. It was like that extra 20 meters closer to the center of the arena.
I think my all-in tickets were 175 last year.
Yeah. So I was fairly happy. And I did have a look later on at the other sales. So there's always that FOMO of like, could I've got a better ticket? But it's not really, and they're expensive and whatever. So I'm pretty happy. Especially O2 Arena as well. Like, there's no bad view. Like, especially for wrestling because it's right in the middle and wherever you are. Yeah, it's a good experience. So nice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be skipping on this one, I'm afraid, with the house purchase going through. It just doesn't seem like a good time to be dropping the bones on that. But come 2026, I'm sure I'll be flying over again to visit for a show.
Yeah, I haven't seen any details. The only thing that came out was that they shifted $1 million worth of tickets from Meltzer, but they seem to always do that for every event. It's like they sell $1 million worth to about 3,000 people, and then God knows how many more tickets beyond that. I think that's where they're at. It's like they've got very hardcore that will pay.
Well, what Tony should do is the first ticket, which is way in the back, costs $1 million, and he buys it.
And he buys that.
Yeah, because Meltzer was a bit snippy. He was like, "Oh, they've done $1 million gate, but with those prices, it's not that hard," or something like that. I was like, "Oh, fair enough, Dave." I mean, he's not completely wrong. If you're charging £300, £400 for like not even front row tickets, then
yeah, you just have to sell.
You do only sell
200
like
of them.
Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah, you could fill 10% of the arena.
Or 2,000.
$1 million gate, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many they've sold. WrestleTix hasn't done any updates because I think with the UK one they struggled to like get the same data. Maybe
I think they'll near sell out.
I think it'll be.
I'd say so.
Yeah. I didn't check the Scotland one. That looked like decent numbers sold. I don't think they'll sell that out, but looks like a decent crowd.
Yeah.
For Glasgow.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be another profitable venture for them.
Sure. Well, it looks like they've sold out the Mexico show as well.
Yeah.
Sold out immediately.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a real appetite for an actual AEW show there, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're they don't seem as international market minded as WWE, but also they're a lot younger, I suppose, as a promotion. So yeah, good to see. I did. They were doing the dynamic pricing for Forbidden Door, I believe. It was great reading that. The fucking Omniplex are doing it now. Our cinema chain, what? Like, Dynamite, just let me buy a ticket to the fucking cinema. Shut the fuck up. My God, must everything cost as much as humanly possible at all times? Anyway, that is going to do it for the news this week. Before we get into our features, I believe we have an email.
Oh, we do have an email from Mr. Will Saul.
All right, well, go.
Bung me over a little email. It says subject Balatro. Hi, Joe. I heard you recently completed Balatro. Congrats. I've been absolutely hooked on the game myself since I saw the Barry lad play it on stream. I had a few questions I was hoping you wouldn't mind answering. Well, I don't mind, Will. And in fact, I read this email earlier in the week and actually prepared the answers rather than trying to make them up now, which never goes very well. So he asked first, do you have a favorite Joker card combo? Interesting one. So I think when I started the game, I was heavy into the face combos. So kind of the Polaroid Joker, smiley face Joker. So you're getting like, every time you play a face card, you're getting a double, you're getting a +5, you're getting a +30 kind of thing, which works very effectively for getting high scores, but I found it was not very dependable. So mine really is quite boring, but when I was just grinding out the achievements, I just relied on blue Joker, which is like plus 3 chips for every card you've got, and then green Joker, which scales very nice. Every time you play a hand, you get +1 multiple. So very easy to scale green Joker. He's probably my favorite Joker. So not the most exciting combination, but very, very dependable. And so when you're kind of grinding, you just want something you know that's going to work. He then asks, is there a card you would always take, even though it's irrational to do so? Because it's all sixes. I would always take Showman. So that's 250 chips, even though it's the last card I unlocked. It's the hardest one to unlock. And it's a very powerful card, but sometimes it makes no sense whatsoever. But I'm like, I can't not take it. Brainstorm and Blueprint. So those are the two Jokers that copy.
Love a Blueprint, yeah.
Copy the power of the Joker next to them, or the one on the far left.
Yeah,
those are obviously brilliant cards, but sometimes obviously it only works if you've got a Joker that's worth copying. But I would always get them and be like, oh, Blueprint, yes. And then, well, I didn't really have anything worth copying, but I just kept him in there anyway.
Yeah.
The other ones would probably be like the Glass Joker, Lucky Cat Joker, the Stone ones, because they only appear once you've got that card type. They're really cool, but very hard to scale. But I would always be like, oh, it's the Lucky Cat one. I've got to get that. And then wouldn't do anything with it. So, yeah. He then asks, favorite deck? I would say Plasma, which is the one where it sort of averages your two numbers and multiplies.
That's where the Showman was very useful.
Showman's perfect for that. I mean, you basically get through most of it with just him. And then Ghost as well, which has like the spectral cards in it. That one. Which boss blind gives you the most trouble? So the one I hate the most is the arm, which I didn't find hard to beat, but it's the one that drops your hand level by -1.
Yeah.
So, on flush, you got your flush to level 8, and then you're playing like 5 flushes, and then you're fucked. You've lost 5 levels. I really hate that one so much. I would deliberately try not to play my favorite hand just to piss it off, and then I lose. I really found the fish quite difficult. So the one, it draws cards face down after each turn. Because if you're playing a specific hand, then you just can't see what you're playing. No repeat hands is obviously tough because I was playing flushes all the time, so that fucked me up. And then Violet Vessel, which is just the big one. Like I had so much trouble. I was doing really, really well when I would get a Violet Vessel, and it's like
dead.
1.2 million. Okay, great. Let's give up. No point. Favorite hand. Well, flush would be my most played hand. Other than that, I do like a double pair. I don't think double pair gets some shit in the Balatro subreddit. People are like, it doesn't scale well, but I always like double pair.
Yeah.
Yes, and then finally, what will fill the aching chasm left by Balatro? Nothing. So I was going to turn to drink, probably.
Well,
yeah.
I actually have an answer for that question.
Go on.
We are going to play our new quiz, Wrestler 20 Questions, Balatro Edition.
What?
So, I've collected, thank you, Will, for the email. I've collected, along with some submissions from Barry and Joe, a pool of 50 questions that one might ask during a game of 20 questions. And I'm going to give you guys 15 random questions. I'm going to give you the answers to 15 of these randomly selected. Okay. After which, so these are your Joker cards that you don't know what you're getting in advance. You will then have 5 questions of your own choosing.
Okay.
Try to work out who is the person.
Okay, I'm opening a text document. Hang on.
You will need to open a text document. So I have not chosen a wrestler. I'm going to do a wrestler generator.
Okay.
Right now. And then I will randomly select your 15 Joker card questions. Okay, I've gone to a random wrestler generator page here, and I'm going to pick the first person on here. So I'm going to go and pull up their Wikipedia page. Okay, so let me jump over to my file here, and if you have your notepads ready, I'm going to give you your random 15 questions. So number 1 is, would you consider them a good in-ring wrestler? I would say that at their peak that this person was considered as a good in-ring wrestler. Right, that's number 1. So let me just mark that down. I'm going to mark off question 48. Okay, question 2 is number 12. Have they ever worked for WWE? Yes, they have.
I hope you're going to edit the Balatro music under this segment.
I can do. Number 25. Are they a cruiserweight? Is it a cruiserweight wrestler? No. Per the Wikipedia page, the build weight is not under 220 pounds. Question 4. Have they ever been a world champion? And of course, we're considering kind of the main companies for this. The answer is no. Right. So that's 4 questions, right? Number 5 is, have they been known for working in Mexico? I would say that this is a wrestler who would not be best known for working in Mexico.
Not best known for working in Mexico.
No. Number 6. Have they been a member of a well-known faction? I am going to say that the answer to that is no. Okay. Question number 7. Have they worked in a non-wrestling on-screen role? So were they a commissioner or a commentator or something? I'm going to say that the answer to that is no as well.
Okay.
A lot to go on here.
Question 8. Have they worked for NXT? They have not.
Not sure Michael's there. Okay.
Okay, all right.
They have not worked for NXT. Number 9. Have they wrestled at a WrestleMania in the last 10 years? They have not. Okay. Question 26. Number 26, which is question 10? Question mark? Have you guys noticed how many questions they've asked?
10.
This is number 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they best known for wrestling during the Attitude Era? I will say yes.
Okay.
They're certainly known for wrestling during the Attitude Era. Question 11 is, have they wrestled at a WrestleMania? Give me 1 second here. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just double checking that. Give me 1 second. Maybe no, maybe not. Hang on. Wait.
Oh.
They have appeared at a WrestleMania. I do not believe they've wrestled at one.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, they have. They have.
Oh.
They have. That was tricky to find. Okay, they have wrestled at a WrestleMania. Confirmed. Okay. Question 12. Are they currently active? They are not currently active.
Okay.
Question 5. Question 13. Sorry, number 5 on my list, question 13. Have they worked for WWE, WCW, or ECW? Yes, they have.
Yeah, okay. Well, if they've done WrestleMania, I would assume. Unless it's Liberace.
Question 14 is, do they have long hair? They had long hair for a period of their active run.
That's not a yes or no.
Did they have... Okay, the question is, do they have long hair?
Yeah, but this is Bellotro. This is not 20 questions.
They do not. Exactly.
Well, give us more information on all the other ones.
Yeah. This question has a 5 times multiplier, which means you can give us more details about their haircuts.
And then question 15, which is question 42. Do they wear a mask or a hat? Entrance included.
Imagine if they wrestled in a hat.
I will answer this in a specific way. The wrestling figure that I owned of this person came with a hat.
Okay.
So that's 15. So those are all your questions. You now have 5 questions of your own to try to establish who is this person.
All right. Joe, leaving out all the negatives, here's actual information we have. They were considered good in the ring at their peak. They have worked for... Wait, we got like, have they worked for WWE twice in here? Because question 2 was, have they ever worked for WWE? Yes. Have they ever worked for WWE, WCW, or ECW? That was also asked. Yes. This is like duplication.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll give you one more.
Thank you.
I'll give you one extra.
Yeah.
Do they wear traditional wrestling attire?
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Again, I would say for a period of their career, they did, and for a period of their career, they did not. So when I say traditional wrestling attire, I'm talking about tights,
trunks, boots,
singlets, long tights.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that fair compensation there. So, Joe, here's where we're at. All right. Considered good in the ring at their peak, they have worked for WWE. It is fair to say they are best known for being in the Attitude Era. They have wrestled at WrestleMania. They had long hair for a period. Paul had a figure of them with a hat. And for some of their career, they wrestled in traditional attire. And for some of their career, they did not. Those are the positives. They were not a world champion. They were not in Mexico. They were not known for being in a faction. They did not have an on-screen commissioner role. Never in NXT. Not currently active. No manias in the last 10 years.
I was thinking of The Godfather, but then would Paul consider him a good in-ring worker? I don't think so.
I was kind of thinking some of the other questions threw me off, but I was kind of thinking like Taz, but no, that threw me off. Okay, Attitude Era people who were never world champions and maybe for a certain character didn't have had an outfit that was, some stupid Vince idea. They had a
hat. There can't be many people with hats. That's why I think of The Godfather. Like, who would have worn a hat?
I was thinking JBL, but he was a world champion, so
yeah.
Also, what kind of hat? Other than a cowboy hat, what kind of hats are there?
Bowler hat, builder's hat.
Also, who would Paul have a figure of?
What's in? Oh no, not wrestling. I don't know. What can we even ask? Okay, we know they're alive. Well, we didn't ask if they're alive.
We didn't ask if they're alive because they are actually not active. So we don't know the gender. I mean, it's probably fair to assume it's a man, but I guess we don't really know.
Oh, I think, would a woman wear a hat?
In the wrestling world, I mean, who's to say?
Very unlikely. I think very unlikely.
I'm happy to ask. Yeah, are they alive? I think that's a fair question.
Well, I don't know. We're tired here. We got 5.
Yeah,
I don't want there to be any. I don't want there to be any controversy here. So I'm looking up the thing that he wore upon his head.
Okay.
I don't want there to be ambiguity about.
So it's a he.
What they wore as a hat.
Non-binary.
It is a kind of headwear.
See, Jinder Mahal turban.
Yeah,
Doug Riley Singh. Doug Riley Singh. That's Doug Riley Singh. Be
a good worker in his prime.
I don't think he worked WrestleMania, right?
I don't think he got a WrestleMania match.
Did Val Venus ever wear a hat?
Yeah, like Attitude Era guy who had a hat, like
some kind of head thing.
Wait, hang on. Maybe Paul purchased a Al Snow figure with the cheese on the head. Snow was considered an all right worker in his. He did
have long hair.
Had long hair, and he had non-traditional wrestling attire.
That's true.
But then he also wore like tights for a big period of it. I don't think Paul would have the head cheese toy, but you never know. Okay. I was thinking as well, because it's obviously, this is like a mid-carder because they were never a world champion, and it's like an Attitude Era guy. So we could ask, this wouldn't narrow it down a lot, but like we could ask, like, were they like a hardcore champion, or,
Yeah. We didn't get any information. We just got non-world champion.
Non-world champion, yeah. So
do you want to go singles? Did they hold a singles?
Yeah. Has this person, Paul, ever held a singles championship?
Any singles championship?
Any singles championship in World Wrestling Entertainment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, you could be talking Al Snow.
European hardcore title is everyone held it.
Yeah, everyone held it. Yeah.
Doesn't really help. Albert.
Now, yes, he did come out with that fuzzy hat for a while.
Yeah.
Or maybe...
Oh, wait, he never had long hair, though.
He never had long hair. Okay. Oh, I was going to say, because Paul might have a Tensai figure with his cultural appropriation hat that he came out in. But I don't know if I'd call that a hat, more of a helmet. Okay. Also, I would say he was in a faction. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Al Snow was not disqualified, I think. But wait, no, but also always had long hair. Okay, never mind.
He was in the job squad as well.
He was in the job squad, yeah. Okay, singles champion in WWE. Who were like the big mid-card champions in the attic? Not the big ones, but who never graduated. I mean, Godfather is not a bad one, but again, Nation of Domination. Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Crash? No, not really. He had traditional wrestling gear.
Oh, he had long hair.
He never had long hair either.
Malenko.
Never had long hair.
Saturn. He did it, sure, yeah. He was bald. He did have a hat at one point, though, didn't he?
He did have a hat. We would okay. Yeah.
Put him on the short list.
So annoying.
Can't think of any, like, who worked WrestleMania in the Attitude Era in like the mid card. So like
okay, yeah. So you'd have like obviously a lot of these are just disqualified because they're world champions. But I'll just say names and you just say anything if it sounds interesting. Like Crash, Hardcore Holly, Benoit Jericho, Angle, X-Pac, Shane McMahon,
X-Pac. No, DX,
yeah. The Hollies, Big Boss Man. Wait a minute, Big Boss Man. Hang on now.
Did he ever wear traditional wrestling as well? Because he was always wearing it.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. He always had a silly outfit on.
He was always dressed up as a cop, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he had. I think he had like a rat tail for long hair, but yeah, I think he was always dressed up as something. Bull Buchanan, Stevie Richards.
Nah, right censor.
Yeah. And the Blue Warrior, yeah. Okay, no. God, that's...
Who was wearing a hat? Someone's got
yeah, that has to be the thing.
Or some kind of... I was thinking Xbox because like bandana. So maybe it was a bandana, not a hat.
Yeah, like... someone who wore a headpiece of some description, who was big in the Attitude Era, was a singles champion, but not a world champion. And has had a WrestleMania match. Like WrestleMania, like it wouldn't be Goldust, because what's he ever wearing his head?
A wig.
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah, a wig. They worked for WWE. Goldust is active though. Goldust is active.
That's true. That's true.
Like I'm trying to think of other questions that could narrow this down.
We could go for the belt.
Yeah,
it's the only thing we know.
Okay. Will we go Intercontinental or is that too broad? If we go European, is that really specific? Then if the answer is no, we're kind of...
Could say European or... No, it's a bit too broad.
No, that's too broad. I think we have to pick one.
Intercontinental.
Okay, Paul, was he an Intercontinental champion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's something to work with. Okay, I'm gonna just work backwards, like Attitude Era-ish. Okay, so Jericho, Benoit, Angle, Jeff Hardy, obviously world champion. Oh God, Rikishi. Was he good warrior? That's a good. No, probably not. This doesn't seem. Would he come out with a hat? Maybe he had a beanie, a too cool beanie.
Yeah.
Godfather was the Intercontinental champion. Jeff Jarrett was a world champion. Okay.
Billy Gunn. What DX?
Yeah.
Road Dogg DX.
Yeah, the faction thing is really Okay, hang on. Let me. Ken Shamrock.
No, he was in the Corporation.
Yeah, but he wasn't like known for being in a faction. I don't think it would. Is the question, Paul? You can correct us here. It's like they were known for being in a faction. It's not. Were they ever in a faction?
Have they been in a well-known faction?
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, never mind.
Factions were not the.
Okay,
Yeah.
The Union as well. Although you could argue whether that faction was well-known.
Yeah.
Union.
So Jeff Jarrett, X-Pac, Kane,
Lance Storm. Does he tick any of these boxes?
Lance Storm.
Good
He never had a WrestleMania match. I still remember on his website, his ill-titled Stormfront website, he had a picture of him working the heat at WrestleMania 19.
Right.
I'm drawing a blank. Okay, so yes, he was in it. Hang on, let's update my list here. Okay.
Val Venus.
Okay, yeah, Val Venus, considered an alright worker in his day, had a WrestleMania match. He was in that Right to Censor 6-man from 17, so not not really. Paul stuttered with that a little bit.
I think we've. I'm sure. I think we've been through every Intercontinental show. I can't think of.
Yeah, because also this is a person who was around in the Attitude Era, but he might have been in Intercontinental Champion in the 80s.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like who else? You have Honky Tonk.
Bulldog. Oh, Bulldog.
Bulldog. Okay, considered a good worker at their peak.
Yeah.
Heart Foundation, I guess.
Never
maybe.
world champion, not a cruiserweight. Heart Foundation. Yes.
We could ask, are they American? To whittle down. Paul, is this person from the US of A?
Yes.
Okay, so Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Okay, an American who's the Intercontinental Champion, who was a good worker in their peak, was not in a faction. Okay.
And what have we got? 2 left? 2 questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got one more, and then I guess we could ask if they were Intercontinental Champion in the Attitude Era.
Okay.
Because if they are, then we at least know it's one of those.
Then it's like,
named.
It's like.
If not, that might actually narrow it down a bit more.
Was this person Intercontinental Champion in the Attitude Era?
Well, can you clarify what exactly that?
Between 1998 and 2001, the entire year is inclusive, shall we say?
No.
Okay. That's interesting.
Who also, I'm thinking maybe in the post-Attitude Era, like they were around in the Attitude Era, but who might have picked up could be before, could be after. I went back to Goldust, but yeah, I guess Goldust wouldn't make sense because they are active. But
I guess, yeah.
Right, hang on. Good worker at their peak. They have worked for WWE, not known for a faction. Had a Mania match, not active. Long hair, period. I don't quite know what the action figure with the hat. Roddy Piper? Nah, I don't see it. He was Canadian also, wasn't he?
He's Canadian, yeah. Ooh.
I'm stumped. I think I'm ready to throw in the towel.
Is there anyone we just want to have a guess on?
Fuck it. Yeah, okay. I know this isn't right, but we'll just go with it anyway. Goldust.
It's not Goldust. I'm sorry. Who is it? Sorry.
Who is it?
So this wrestler born July 9th, 1960. They held the Intercontinental Championship in 1996. They won a vacant tournament.
Was it Mark Merrow?
Mark Merrow is the correct. answer.
I don't know why 1996 made me get it, but yeah.
So the figure I got, he had kind of like a leather do-rag thing he wore during his I'm a boxer gimmick.
Yeah.
Marvelous Mark Miro. And he wore the boxing shorts. Like his gimmick was very much. But he had long hair. He was the Wild Man and the Johnny B. Bad in WCW as well. WCW TV champion. Now he's a motivational speaker.
Is he?
Does a lot of that. But and of course he debuted at WrestleMania 12, but did not wrestle on the show. But he did wrestle in a mixed tag at WrestleMania 14.
Right, yeah.
With Sable.
Yes. Yeah.
So he won the Intercontinental title just before the Attitude Era. So that's kind of where, unfortunately, it didn't line up for you guys. You got very close. If you're listening to the champions backwards, I'm thinking, we're getting into Mero territory here. But he was just the other side of your Triple H, Steve Austin, and The Rocks.
Yeah.
So there you go. A valiant effort.
Right.
That was a tough one,
gentlemen.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, the thing is, I knew that the format was going to be tough, so actually I had in my head earlier to pick a relatively easy wrestler, and then I forgot when I was doing the random wrestler generator. And I thought, Mark Mero's probably gettable. If the questions line up, which they
yeah, I think what killed us was the questions. Those are some tough ones.
That's sometimes some Bellatra runs go like that.
That is so true. That is so true.
Broke like 20 questions.
Okay, and then to close off our features with our Fantasy League update. Barry, you and Meltzer not friends again, I believe.
No.
We had a cracking Dynamite main event, which we will get to. Well, not quite cracking, 4 3/4 stars. Between Hanger and Coyle Fletcher. Joe has passed the 100 match mark now as well. He's the first of us. 102 matches. Joe picked up 8 points this week. I 10 and Barry 7. So quite a close week again. I'm still looking at maybe pulling the trigger on a third trade. Cope, Hook, JY and Pack. Still nowhere to be seen. Cope and Hook, I imagine we'll probably see by the time we're on the other side of Double or Nothing. JY and Pack, who have legitimate injuries, as I said, they might be ready to go come the other side of Double or Nothing, but they might be held back till after All In. Like I said, I am concerned that people who are off TV right now might not be factored into the plans for those shows. So do I do one now, or do I continue to kind of hold out here? Because frankly, Jay White hadn't been getting me a ton of points anyway. 16 points from 6 matches. Ain't great. So looking at the other wrestlers on the list, and I know Jay White only hurt his hand, and he's apparently going to be back relatively soon. The top scoring non-drafted wrestlers so far: Powerhouse Hobbs, Samoa Joe, Hologram, who just returned on Collision, Wheeler Yuta, Katsuyori Shibata, and the FTR boys.
Yeah, there's some interesting names there. I'm relatively okay now, but I could see some use in those names.
Yeah, I'd like to look at Hologram as well, because Hologram is such, especially with the Mexico show coming up, he's such a little earner in terms of he's on Collision. He'll win his matches on Collision like every week. So he might be nice to have, as he's kind of a little center midfielder who gets an assist almost every week. But for like a Jay White, do I do it now or do I hold out? I'll tell you what, I'm still 9 points ahead. I'm going to leave it for another week.
Okay.
But I do have my eye on a Jay White Hologram trade, possibly. We will see. Rightio, that's all I have.
Alrighty, we will segue over to the aforementioned great edition of AEW Dynamite this week from Virginia. It kicked off with another banging 8-man tag all-star action. Here you had Kenny Omega, Mark Briscoe, Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight versus the Young Bucks, Okada, and Ricochet. And this went like 30 full-ass minutes from the top of the show And what a way! I mean, what a way to kick things off. This was top notch fun again to kick off the show.
Yeah, very good. It was a bit comedic at times, but I don't mind that for a TV show. It's not pay-per-views a bit much, but I like a fun, just a big fun kind of Ultimate. So, right.
Yeah. Matt Jackson giving Ricochet the arm breaker and then putting his hand back and feeling his bald head and going, oh no, it's my own partner.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good fun. All the action, you know, I think they're getting their new acquisitions, you know, Knight and Bailey, and they're tearing it up every week, which is great. The finish saw Okada pinning Briscoe at the end there, and this was even though the match itself was already a half hour long, they really let it kind of sink in that the baby faces were like gutted at this loss. Kenny was like devastated. Which was you know, well done. We've given out to them in the past for the constant cutting to the back. So yeah. Hurts and Nate were backstage. They saw a bunch of jabrones singing "We Hurt People," and then they beat them up. This to me kind of came off like a little bit of "Hey man, don't cheer us. We're heels." But I mean, you beat up a couple of jabrones, so it was funny. So people probably liked it.
So I like it. Yeah, I want to cheer for you.
yeah. So yeah, they talked about MJF and that one, leading to a segment later. We got the returning Nick Comoroto to AEW television, looking as muscular and hairy as ever. He and Rhett Titus and Miles Hawkins took on the Ops. They gave Comoroto a little bit, but you know they squashed these guys more or less. So there's a bit of a schmoz where the Death Riders came in, and then basically they were able to slam Shibata onto the sort of legs up steel chair like they did to Hook.
Yeah. Which they then said, that's how Hook got taken out.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't.
It's funny, yeah, because when they did that angle, Hook like stood up like 5 minutes later and they were like, oh, that was sore. You know, they that wasn't really kind of like a death angle, but now he's kind of being written off, and so they're kind of like acting like that killed him. Joe did another one of his very angry promos, got people fired up. So this
nice
in 2 weeks they were already announced. It is now a steel cage.
Very good. Do you know what Joe's promo reminded me of? Do you remember when Tommy Dreamer came out on Impact years ago?
No.
And water came out of his mouth weirdly? Neither of you remember this? This is one of the all-time great CSP. Was it Tommy Dreamer?
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah, and his shirt was all gross and fucking...
He came out, I think it was like a promo with Rob Van Dam or someone, and he came out and just like inexplicably water came out of his mouth. Joe here was just like spraying like a waterfall coming out of him. I need to find that on YouTube, that clip. I've not seen it since the week it happened.
Yeah, I do remember what you're talking about. But yeah, Joe was spitting fountains out there because he was so angry, which was good. Yeah, I mean, we kind of complained about this with the Fletcher Ospreay one, but this is another one where they were really emphasizing, steel cage, that means everyone else is out. And, I mean, I would really like them to not do 2 steel cages in a row where they emphasize that in the build. And that
my immediate reaction was that
they're getting in.
Hook will return and cost Joe the belt.
I think that would be a terrible mistake.
I agree.
Oh.
Because I think part of Hook's issue, and I don't know what the remedy is to this. I don't know what you would do with it necessarily. He does like a tough guy character, and I don't really next to Shibata and Joe, I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs is a much better fit, I think. I think it was a good place to put Hook. It gave him something to do, something a little bit interesting, but I think he would, dare I say, look even more out of place in the Death Riders, just with like Claudio, like.
Well, I'm not saying he would necessarily join the Death Riders, but the fact that he was replaced as in the Ops essentially like that, I think it'd be a bit weird if he just returned and he was back in the Ops, but not part of the trio. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Taz has been alluding on commentary, Hook's going to come back. He's going to do whatever he needs to do, He was very, very vague, intentionally vague about that. So I wonder that Hook, when he returns, might not necessarily be aligned with the Ops anymore.
I give him something to do.
We give him something to do, for sure.
Far enough with it.
He change his look, shave the head, grow a beard.
No, we've all got enough baldies.
Yes,
that's true. That is true.
That's the hair of an 11-year-old child.
Well, I mean, he's quite young, to be fair. We had Renee doing a sit down with Monet backstage. I was a little bit worried because these are typically the segments that go so awry and they do like really silly stuff. I actually thought this was all right. It was pretty much a straight. She just talked to Renee about like Jamie Hayter and bigged herself up, and that was fine. And she said she looked like someone out of Scooby Doo, which was funny. Renee was then interviewing the patriarchy. Jay Lethal interrupted, so they set up that match later. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Jay Lethal was like, "Remember me?"
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. This is a great episode of TV, but I'm not going to tell you I watched any of that match. I like Nick Wade, but yeah. Anyway, Toni Storm versus Miyu Yamashita. In an eliminator match. I like that they played a little video building up Miyu and showing her stardom highlights. They also, on commentary, highlighted that she is one of 3 women to ever win an eliminator match before, which I thought was actually a very good statistic.
Good continuity.
Because it's been a while since they've had one of these and a person has won it and gotten a title shot. So it was good to remind you that it does happen. Good match, solid match, not too much to it, but
this was not one of those, unfortunately.
No, Yamashita was put away, and Mercedes came out.
A new finish.
What was it?
It was like a choke. It was a chicken wing.
Oh,
was that on Collision? She did a chicken wing.
Yeah, I think that was she won the Storm Zero on this show.
She won the Storm Zero on Collision. She won with a chicken wing.
Because this was proper. Like this wasn't like it wasn't like a jobber match. They gave Yamashita a lot, but they like on Dynamite, like she did the classic thing of like how a real like classic just getting this wrestler over thing. Like Storm hit her with the hip attack and then just picked her up and hit the Storm Zero up in there. Like okay, there was no kind of like kicking out of the hip attack and doing a near fall. It was just kind of like the champion hit her stuff and just won. Mercedes came out and then Hayter came out and decked her. And Mercedes did a very fun, like they were squaring off, and then Hayter hits her, and then Mercedes like, "Oh fuck, that hurt!" Right away from Hayter, which was good. Yeah. Time for your weekly Hurt Syndicate MJF segment. These have been good, and I thought this one was good as well. They they bantered a little bit. They did the long tease of the thumb. They really milked the thumb with Bobo. I mean, this man's a pro. He's been in this business a while. He knew to let that linger in the middle for a little while. And then he turned it down. So MJF blew his top and was like, "Oh, what more do you want? How about some Rogaine?" Which I don't think is a reference most like kids get. I think I only know that reference because like they said it on The Simpsons 20 years ago.
Also, I'm fairly sure Lashley has like alopecia. He's not just like bald classically.
Ableist.
Because he's got no eyebrows. He had to get his eyebrows tattooed on.
This is more than I've ever known about Bobo's hair. I gotta be honest with you.
Also, MVP called him Robert as well, which was
funny. It's funny.
So I feel like they've already made some kind of allusion to this previously, but they really hit it home here. Lashley backs MJF into the corner. You want to impress me? Hurt somebody. So I feel like they made some kind of tease like that in the past as well. So they're going to like, you have to be like a tough guy to hurt people to get in. So I assume... Now it's funny because you would think the MJF character will like beat the shit out of a jabroni, right? And like put him in the hospital or whatever. No one tough. And maybe the Hurt Syndicate will be like, "Oh, that's not impressive." But that's also their gimmick as well. So maybe if he beats up a jabroni, he'll be like, "Well, this is what you guys do. You only ever beat up losers." I don't know.
I think he'd probably beat up MVP.
If I were that'd be interesting. We had the aforementioned Fast Forward Classic. God bless you, Nick Wayne. He did defeat Jay Lethal. Not much to that. We got the semi-final, the aforementioned match from the Meltzer snub job Hangman Adam Page defeated Kyle Fletcher. I mean, this and the opener on one episode of TV is crazy. You know, they had, again, as we've said the last few weeks, they had just a pay-per-view quality match just right here on Dynamite. It was really great stuff.
Yeah, I said at one point, watch it. This is like something you'd get on a pay-per-view. Yeah,
very, very good.
So Hanger and Ospreay is your men's final, and as we said, I think last week, I mean, you got two matches, but it's Money and Hater, and Hanger and Ospreay. I mean, that's a pay per view. That's a pay per view right there.
Take my money, Tony. And it's a bank holiday weekend. Yeah, they're gonna stay up and watch it. Oh yeah, I'm back. Whoa.
So yeah, really good stuff from Dynamite. I did not get around to Collision. How was it?
Collision was decent. Collision was decent this week.
I saw Sammy Guevara won a match, so...
Sammy Guevara, that's the thing. Sammy Guevara is back and he won a match. That is accurate.
Yeah.
What was interesting, it was a four-way match with Kevin Knight, Roosh, and who else is in it? AR Fox. You know, AR Fox wasn't in it. I figured, well, Kevin Knight might win again here. But no, Sammy Guevara came back, won it, and gave Adam Cole the "I'm coming for the belt" brother.
Oh, now you want to have a fast forward classic? Oh my goodness!
Match stuff is actually quite good. I mean, look, Sammy Guevara is good. Let's not mistake the fact that he's a very, very annoying character.
Yeah,
for he's quite good. He's very capable of it, but I've never been much of a fan, so I don't know. See, I mean, this was like Sammy Guevara being gone for so long. He came back here. I didn't appreciate any great change in his presentation or style or how he came off. He's just Sammy Guevara. He's back. He's back exactly the same. Toni Storm beat Lady Frost, as mentioned, with the TCM chicken wing.
Okay,
as it was called, and she got on the mic and went out into the balcony above the boardwalk and said, "I'm timeless. I'm here. I'm queer, and I'm timeless." As I said, Sammy Guevara won the $100,000 high-speed collision match. So he joins the list of wrestlers who have won money in matches, and they have never followed up on in any way.
Hang on now. They have referenced that 400 grand multiple times. I take umbrage with that, sir. You alleged AEW respecter and defender. Ricochet has mentioned it like at least twice that he's annoyed he didn't get any money out of that match.
Right, but what have the winners done with their money?
Oh, sorry, you want to see the receipts, do you? I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were pocket watching.
Yeah. I want it to be like Goodfellas, where your man's bought his wife the big coat, and the other fella's pissed off with him for, "You're not supposed to be showing off the money, you stupid bastard."
People who watch this promotion do not need their stories spoon-fed to them. And I do not think a wrestler would come out and say, "What a delicious 600 steaks I had last night with my 100 grand I won." And now I'm off to buy 18 PlayStations, and a bunch of GPUs.
I would have liked for one of the guys to have come in with like some colossally like
should have had
materialistic
a car or a watch or a car,
something like that.
Fur coat, yeah.
Because look, we know that these figures that are associated with these matches are nothing. You know, it's just a really flimsy way of being like, this is a match for something. In fact, you could argue, I wouldn't make the arguments, but you could argue that this would fall under our bonus points in the Fantasy League for winning a thing.
No.
You know?
They should have shown up with front row tickets to Forbidden Door. Whoa, baby. It's all the money gone.
Anyway, Sammy Guevara.
Did you hear front row SummerSlam tickets were going for 40 grand? Did you see that? Is that real?
Incredibly rich fools. And I don't know if that's real. I saw that going around. Maybe it is. I assume it is. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
Like, TKO. I mean, I was talking. A friend of mine at work went to the Sphere in Vegas, and she saw some natural geographic thing. One of those. It wasn't like an actual event. It was one of those they're playing a video on the screen. And we were talking about it, and I remember that. Like, I feel like when the UFC did that, I think it was like 2,000 to get in, to just get a nosebleed in that building. So like this company is not above that. But yeah. Anything else from Collision?
Megan Bain defeated Harley Cameron.
Bane.
Anna Jay returned, and she'll be the next to be beaten by Bain.
Yeah.
There was a Mox promo. Brody King, Josh Alexander had a very good match, which was a draw. King in with the Gonzo bomb, but he rolled out of the ring just as the time expired. So they'll probably run that back. It was very, very good. Danny Garcia answered Caster's challenge. Max Caster's Best Wrestler Alive challenged. Put him away very, very quickly. And then we had 2 out of 3 falls match. Very good main event. FTR versus Paragon, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Match was won by FTR, and Danny Garcia came out at the end and kind of challenged them to a match for next week. Some form of match. It wasn't clear what it was going to be, but some kind of match next week. Some kind of fight. So Collision continues to be kind of the Danny Garcia FTR show. It was good. Good show.
How was Dark Side this week? I didn't get around to it.
Dark Side of the Ring was the Eddie Gilbert week. I was kind of hoping it would be like the Gilbert brothers, because I know that Doug Gilbert was also involved in some notorious stuff. Famously, Jerry Lawler promo, which wasn't touched on. The Eddie Gilbert side of it was kind of another of those. He was a wrestler before his time. He had a great mind for the business, but the drugs and the drink and everything led to a downward spiral. Again, kind of boilerplate template episode. You know what I mean? It was fine. I mean, they did have Doug on as a talking head, and they did kind of go through all the stuff that Eddie Gilbert was doing way ahead of his time. But again, I don't know that there was necessarily a super unique hook to it, but it was watchable. All right.
On that, will we segue over to the non-wrestling television?
What? That exists?
It does. What do you want?
Why do you want to start? Let's start with the biggest news of the week. Taskmaster is back.
Yes, yeah. How is that?
It was great. What did you think, Jeff?
Very good. Yeah, they're a fun bunch. No arseholes in it. I think.
No.
I think it's going to be just a nice season.
Fun bunch. I thought the tasks, I especially like the P-Olympics task, but I thought the tasks overall were strong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a task that's kind of overly convoluted. I like the stuff where it's like, in its simplicity is where the comedy is kind of drawn out of. So, for example, sorry, go ahead.
So I was going to say, I didn't understand the pea thing. I was completely lost what they were trying to do with the peas.
Well, it was just a series of pea-related challenges.
Well, that was
one of them was...
What? Find the pea.
Well, one of them was throw this pea as far away as you can, without knowing that the following task was going to be go find your pea, which is one of my favorite bits. Especially that there was the one lady who found the pea quicker than two of them who had put the pea into a carrot were able to find their carrots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the only thing for me that I didn't understand similarly was like the final stage task, which was just chaos. It was impossible to follow.
Getting raisins in a thing, and then someone shouts your name, you have to shout their name.
Yeah, that's what I mean, where that was too convoluted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my favorite stage tasks have been where they have to, like, draw something, or it's like something really simple that you can understand.
Yeah.
Where the thing is, like, rotating and they have to draw a thing on it, or someone's drawing on their back and they have to then recreate it. That kind of thing. Here, it was just madness, and it was impossible to know what was happening. I did like the pea thing, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
I liked some of the earlier. I like when your one went to the wrong room at the very beginning as well. Just a lab. But yeah, good strong. I had many laughs for me. Passed the 6 laugh test. Very, very funny. This is the first time ever I've watched an episode of Taskmaster that I have to wait a week for the next episode.
Yeah.
Because I've only ever watched it on demand. So this is a new experience for me. I'm a little bit anxious and agitated that I have to, I want the next one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Really good. What else was on the TV this week? I haven't watched the new Last.
No, I haven't either.
I've only watched up to episode 3. I thought episode 3 again pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not that interested in this season, to be honest. It's kind of I quite like the first one, but the season feels a bit like they've got to the kind of the little civilization, the town. It's like kind of feels like Walking Dead or something to me. It's like
I did have that feeling.
And with so and so having been, I'm just not interested in the characters that are left.
Dare I say, and I obviously my feelings on what I'm about to reference are very clear, but dare I say there's an element of Raid 1 and Raid 2 with how different the series are. And I don't mean in terms of whether I like it or don't like it. I just mean Series 1 is a very focused story with a clear end goal and a clear direction. Whereas Series 2 is a little bit more expanded, a little bit more unclear what the ultimate destination is, where they're going with it. And so there might be that same thing as I had with the Raid, where I so enjoyed that style of number 1 that number 2 doesn't necessarily appeal to my specific taste. I'll say I'm enjoying Series 2 as almost as much as Series 1, but then obviously we're coming in with a very different mindset of people who have played the games. And so it's a very different watching experience, of course.
But I also like when it was all said and done, as much as I enjoyed it, when season 1 finished, I was just kind of like, I don't think this is anything other than like a pretty good TV show. If I could,
I'd agree. I'd agree.
And so I'm kind of feeling that same way about this season. I'm kind of like, if I wasn't bought in on this IP, would I still be watching? I mean, it takes a lot for me to really drop a show. I so rarely do that. So I'm not saying I would have given up by now, but it's just kind of funny because some of the stuff they add from scratch is really interesting. Like obviously, famously, the 3rd episode of the first season, that was all basically pulled out of thin air, more or less, and that was great. And then but some of the stuff they slightly tweaked that's mostly the same is kind of, it feels like for the worse. Like it's just not as interesting. It's just not as well done. I don't know. It's just I think I'm kind of surprised. Well, actually, I suppose I shouldn't say I'm surprised. But I'm kind of surprised it's as popular as it is because but I guess it's, I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the new one. I thought episode 3 was good, and I thought episode 1 was good, and yeah, I don't know. I do think I've heard. I saw little snippets about the most recent episode, and I haven't watched it myself. And I saw some game heads complaining that they condensed an awful lot of it. I was like, well, that's just going to happen. I think the most fascinating thing about this experiment is that in a weird way, it has kind of legitimized the game as a medium, because you just get to spend more time with these characters. I pulled up here. It's full of spoilers, so I won't send it to. I won't send it to Joe or post it anywhere that listeners who haven't played the game with it. But I pulled up a graph of how the timeline of the second game plays out, and it's just very funny to look at. I do think they're having some growing pains of fitting that stuff into the TV show because, as we talked about when we reviewed the first episode, it's kind of like, at this point in the game, Joe and listeners, you don't even know who Abby is. You've no inclination who the character is, what her motivations were. They had to just stick that at the beginning because they're like, I can't. A lot of fans of the game were critical of that decision. I feel like TV audiences would be gone already if they didn't get thrown that little bone already. Because I think it's such an oddly structured story, and I think they are having some growing pains with it.
I agree with Josh's point, though, that season 2 also feels a little more generic.
Yeah.
Within the zombie, or it's not zombies, obviously, but within that genre.
But it basically is, yeah.
It does feel a little just, this could be anything, I
know, because a friend of the show, Jack, also made the Dead comparison with the end of the last episode where they showed the big army, and it's kind of like this big daunting cliffhanger. And again, it's like, I mean, that concept is in the game, but that shot isn't in there. They're not really. Do you know what I mean? That's new, and it's just some of the stuff in there is just. Sorry, what was that, Kat? Sorry, I didn't mean to go.
Put your hand up next time.
Please press the raise your hand.
Raise your paw button.
Raise your paw button. But I'm enjoying it. But yeah,
I'm enjoying it, but it's not something I'm rushing to on a Monday afternoon either. You know, especially when, you know, we talk about TV schedules, but even within my own personal, that's been, you know, wrestling it out for the TV time with The Rehearsal and The Righteous Gemstones, which I enjoy both of those shows far more, you know, so.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's interesting. Yeah, again, I was like, if I wasn't like bought in on the franchise, I don't. And actually, I suppose today I didn't get around to watching it. You know, it doesn't feel very essential. What else was on the slate this week?
Well, speaking of, Righteous Gemstones is completed. It's very sad to see that go. Very, very funny show, funny cast. Again, your Danny McBride, John Goodman. So I'm going to have to check out some of his other shows. I've decided I'm going to need to watch Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals. I've never watched a single second of either of those, but I'm quite a fan of his now. So I will check those out as, you know, to fill in the Danny McBride void that's been left in my heart since Righteous Gemstones came to an end. I will give Righteous Gemstones a big recommendation as well. Very, very funny show about these mega churches, although the last season kind of moves slightly away from the whole mega church angle, but very, very funny. Danny McBride's great in it as well. And then The Rehearsal. So has anybody else watched the latest episode?
I still haven't started, and the way people are talking about it, I'm like, oh god, okay, I think I might need to just like, I gotta get to this.
Joe, have you started The Rehearsal yet? Joe has been killed by his cat. Joe is not on.
Yeah, that was the warning shot. That meow.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about The Rehearsal then. Spoilers aplenty here. No, I won't. I will not spoil the show. But I'm not sure that Nathan is actually. Joe, have you watched any of The Rehearsal?
No, it's not on here yet, is it?
I just thought, someone on the
there are ways to get it, Joe.
I know, but it's annoying. It's annoying when you fucking pay for it. Yeah, someone I was just on the Discord just earlier said, now haven't edited. Get off your fucking arses charging fucking 800 quid for 480p fucking uploads of The Simpsons. Bollocks, all right? Yeah. Just put The Rehearsal up there. Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, I will simply say, I'm not sure that Nathan is actually of this world. I think he might be some kind of alien.
Must be alien or something.
Because I've never seen another human operate on the same level as he has. I would say this season has had its moment where it's crossed over to something else entirely. And there were some stuff in this episode had my jaw agape. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He is such a strange man. He's like Mr. Bean in real life, but with a creative mind of a genius. Like he's like no other person. Like I can't. It was brilliant. It was mesmerizing. It was horrifying. It was every EST adjective you could think of. My God, I can't wait for the next one. And this episode, I will say, you will want to see it before it gets spoiled for you. There's imagery in this episode you will not want to stumble across online, or you will lose the impact of watching it for the first time. Magic stuff. And then I've also been watching Andor. So we're 6 episodes in. This release schedule I am not loving. I do like watching Andor. The episodes themselves, have been very good. So Andor continues its run as being the good Star Wars show. No, really. It's actually good. No, I mean, not for Star Wars. It's actually a good show.
We're not being the annoying Star Wars mutants. This one actually is good.
Yeah. But they release it in these like bulks of 3 episodes a week, 3 episodes at a time, which means between the drop on like Thursday with all the footy that's on, and Taskmaster is on, and the wrestling is on, and Sunday comes, and now you also have Righteous Gemstones, and you also have the Rehearsal, and you also have The Last of Us. And then Dark Side of the Ring comes, then Dynamite's on. It's very hard to find time for the 3 episodes of Andor to watch before you fall behind. And then next week you have 4 episodes to watch. And then before you know it, it's too much. So I would prefer a 1 a week type thing. I believe they did it the same way last year, but I didn't get around to watching Andor until I think all the episodes were pretty much out, which I think might be the smart way to watch it. So if I wasn't watching it, I would advise people wait until we're almost at the 4th week when the 12 episodes will all be out, and then you can start watching it. Oh, it's great. It's really, really good. It's all about whispers in the shadows and a little bit of espionage and, you know, intrigue. There's no scenes where, you know, a stormtrooper shoots a blaster at a Tusken Raider, and then Sebulba goes, "Did that just happen?" Like, there's none of that. There's very little action at all. Has there even been an action scene? I mean, in the last episode, there was something they would say approached a little bit of action, but it's not that show. There's no lightsabers, there's no blasters, there's no shooting, there's no flying there's very little flying the TIE fighters.
No.
Decks and pew, pew, pew.
I just watched the first episode and there's a little bit of that, but even that was in service of something.
That's basically as much as you get in the first 6 episodes.
Yeah. I did watch the first episode. And that's all I've watched, but it was just really good. You just watch it like, oh yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, the good Star Wars. I enjoyed it a lot, and some nice little seeds planted for the season to come. The release stuff is weird. It kind of reminds, they did that Spider-Man cartoon that I still haven't finished because it's kind of boring. Similar thing. It was like 3 episodes and then they put 2 and then they put the last 4 out. I was like, why is like I know we're kind of I feel like all these companies are just kind of like they don't want to do the dropping the whole season at one thing. That's over. They're not doing that anymore unless it's some low level shite they don't care about. If it's in any way a big name, they want you coming back. But I guess people are bitching about that because they like to binge, and so I think Disney's kind of like, okay, we'll give you 3 at a time. It's very odd. It's very odd. I don't like it at all.
No, but like I say, I am enjoying it. And this will be the last one. So I mean, this might be the last Star Wars property I ever watch, unless Tony Gilroy makes another movie or something, in which case, you know, fair enough. But the thing is, you never feel like it's like talking down to you or treating you with like kids' gloves, or it doesn't come off like a show for kids, basically. I mean, that's one thing I would say is if a kid were to watch Andor, I think they would find it really, really boring.
Do you think so? I don't know.
Because it doesn't have lightsabers and pew, pew, pew and action. And one thing it really lacks is comic relief. So
yeah,
all of those hallmarks that you would associate with a Mandalorian or a show that is more for the family. This feels like, as nerdy as it might sound to say, this feels like a Star Wars show for adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. So that's all the TV that I've been watching.
Alrighty. I haven't really watched. I watched Andor. I started Andor. That was it. Joe, what have you been watching?
Mainly snooker, but we did start Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus. So that's been really good. This is a kind of spy. It's sort of shit spies. It was kind of sequestered in a department run by Gary Oldman, who plays a kind of farty old man, literally. And it's very good. Yeah, very quite intriguing. Lots of action. Looks great. It's Apple, so they're spending money on it. So it still looks really good. Filmed in London, of course, and it looks great. Good intrigue. It's not slow. Despite the title, Slow Horses, it actually moves quite quickly. So the plot's like moving along very quickly. It's not sort of dragging it out for 4 or 5 episodes before anything happens. I think it's only a 6-episode season, so yeah, really enjoyed that. Good characters, funny, interesting little spy dynamics. So yeah, enjoyed that. So I think we should continue with that. For the time being, we nearly caught up with the studio after Michelle was away for a couple of weeks. So we just watched the one with the doctors in it, which was quite funny. But all the doctor characters were complete twats. It was a bit over the top how rude and obnoxious they were. Less doctors already like that. Yeah, that one was quite good.
Nice.
What about movies?
Just the one for me.
Go on.
I don't remember if either of you spoke about this movie, Carry On Netflix.
No, I've heard a lot about it, though. It was much talked about for, like a week.
Yeah. It's so it stars everyone's favorite Elton John, Taron Egerton. Also of Kingsman, remember them? So he stars as a airport security guard who happens to be on site while some real shit's going down. Oh my God. So it's part Speed, it's part Die Hard, and it's part phone booth.
Right.
But I would say it's not as good as any of those are individually. So essentially what happens is he's in his girlfriend, both work at the airport. She's a bit higher up than him. He's very low level. And she's been pushing him to get a job with the police academy, which was your dream all along, blah, blah, blah. And then so he tries to get a push internally, and they put him on the where they scan your bags through the little X-ray machine.
Right.
And so as one of the customers is leaving, he goes, "Oh, you left something in your tray," and says, "Earpiece." Earpiece. She goes, "That ain't my earpiece." And then he puts it in his ear. And there's a bad guy talking to him. My client is coming soon, and you have to let his bag through no matter what's in it. And if you don't, I'm going to kill your girlfriend who's pregnant. And so the first hour is very phone booth. So if you've seen the movie Phone Booth,
I love phone booth. Yeah.
I really, really like Phone Booth. But it feels very similar. It feels like a modern take on Phone Booth, where he's got a guy in his ear telling him, you got to do X, Y, Z. And so people are reacting to him. Why are you being like this? Why are you talking to me like this? And so there's a bit where he's talking to the girlfriend, and the fella's in his ear, and he goes, "Stop talking to me." And the girlfriend's all upset because she thinks he's talking to her. Oh my God. So wacky. And then in the second half, it becomes more of a standard action slop. So this is directed by the same guy who directed Woman in the Yard, which I really enjoyed recently, but also the same director of Black Adam, which was absolute pig shite. And he also directed Liam Neeson Vehicles, Unknown, and Nonstop. And so it does feel...
Oh, it sounds great by the title.
Those films are both actually passable. So it's kind of becomes to that kind of same level. It is a Christmas movie, allegedly. The reason you know it's a Christmas movie is because the airport is very busy, because they say, well, it's busy because it's Christmas. I don't remember. Apparently, I've been told by someone else who watched the movie, oh, actually, there were Christmas decorations. They were so subtle that I didn't even see them. And then the other the other reason why you might recognize it as a Christmas movie is 3 times during the movie, Christmas songs play, and you go, oh, this is Last Christmas that I'm hearing. It's Christmas. I forgot it's Christmas, of course. But this could really not be a Christmas movie and happen any time of the year. It feels like the kind of film that I'm sure it's not the case, but the kind of film that they could have after the fact gone, let's put this in our Christmas slate and just after the fact add some Christmas music to it and say it's a Christmas movie. I mean, it was fine. Egerton, I feel like is a good actor, but I don't know if he had the charisma to carry this kind of movie. He doesn't exactly have a Liam Neeson or I don't know, Jason Statham or whatever. He doesn't jump off the screen. He doesn't have that larger than life screen presence. He was just okay. The rest of the cast was fairly poor. And when we had the reveal of who was the baddie, as you might recall in Phone Booth, you don't get that until the very, very end of the film.
Yeah.
Here you get it about 25 minutes in. And when I saw who it was, actor-wise, I went, ugh. And because it was not I felt like the actor who is the big baddie in the movie was very miscast. It's not, but let's say you're watching Phone Booth and then the guy who was actually the big baddie was like Sacha Baron Cohen. You go, oh.
Okay, I'm going to look up who it is because I'm never going to watch this film.
Okay, Joe's going to give us his real-time reaction to who is the bad guy who's threatening to kill his pregnant girlfriend.
So
the Traveller, I think, is the character.
The Traveller. Oh dear. I don't know what I expected.
So you can imagine my reaction when they turned up in the film as the big bad, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
It's this guy.
Oh, Hank Schrader's in it as well.
Oh,
Hank Schrader is in it. He is in it.
Oh, God. Is he doing that whole face during it? Oh, my God. What the fuck? This is I mean, I haven't seen the critically acclaimed drama this person is in that people do really like, but this is a fundamentally unserious person. I cannot take this person for real.
And it is not played for like laughs or not played for comedy. They are legitimately the evil villain behind the whole plot.
That's pretty funny.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's all I watched. It was okay. 2.5 stars. It was fine.
Well, I watched for the first time Rushmore, the Wes Anderson movie. So I was a bit of a Wes Anderson skeptic. I kind of like some of his stuff, but not all of it. I find it a bit intolerably boring, to be honest. But I think I've seen a few things of his that piqued my interest. So I wanted to go back and watch some of the stuff I've missed. So we put Rushmore on, which was his second film. First with Mr. Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And it was very fun. Very fun. It's about a little weird lad at school who's a bit of a overachiever and is trying to
Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman, and he's trying to impress his kind of much older teacher with a bunch of very sort of arcane, elaborate activities, as you'd expect from a Wes Anderson film. But I thought it was a bit more relatable and a bit more heart than some of the later ones of his that I've seen.
Sure.
I really care. I was very interested in that main character. I think he kind of put a bit more of the work in to make it not make the characters completely obtuse, to actually build a little bit of sympathy for them.
Yeah, it's not obsessed with the visuals.
Yeah.
Either.
Very enjoyable, very quirky. I mean, you see why he became such an iconic kind of cult director.
I like Rushmore a lot as well.
So yeah, very, very, very good.
Yeah, because it's weird because you can see if you were to plot out a graph of all his movies in terms of visual style versus plot substance, you can almost have a kind of a straight line going from the top left to the bottom right.
Yeah.
Not to say that his later films don't have any substance, but a movie like Royal Tenenbaums is kind of right in the middle almost, where it's very stylistically, filmed, but also there's a lot of substance to it. Whereas the latter movies got very, very, very into that style, whereas the early movies like Bottle Rocket or Rushmore don't have so much as that. Yeah, it's a long time since I watched that. I might need to rewatch Rushmore. I would say Bottle Rocket is good as well. Bottle Rocket's a little
yeah. I don't think it's
dry.
Disney Plus. That's the bottom line. I might seek that out.
Yeah. No, I think Grand Budapest is probably still my favorite one of his, or Darjeeling Limited, of course, which a lot of people hate, but I enjoy. Rightio, Barry, tell us about your Atomfall experience.
Yeah, so I think I was still fairly early in this last week, and I'm now about 10 hours in, and I think I love it. It is really, really interesting, and it's a very cool world. This is the kind of like, I believe it's set in Cumberland. This is a kind of Fallout-ish type setting where it's basically kind of like this this part of Cumberland is fenced off because of it's some kind of nuclear plant meltdown type situation. But I mean, mild spoilers, you quickly find out that's not actually what happened. There was some they literally called them boffins. I was about to ironically use the term boffins, but whenever a character refers to a scientist in this game, they go, there were some boffins around, and it all went tits up. It's kind of a Fallout game where the characters talk like what was that game we played last year, Paul? Fucking the little British comedy game. Can you remember what it was? Oh God, what was it fucking called? Thank goodness you're here. Thank goodness you're here. The characters all kind of talk like that. Anyway, see, it's very much a kind of a survival kind of make your own. There's a narrative through it, but there's kind of very much you're crafting your own story, because it's one of those games where extremely limited ammo, you're very weak, you can't get into a lot of fights, no fast travel. I mean, I was singing the praises a few weeks ago. I love something like Avowed, where it's like every single time you touch anything, you can just pull up a menu and just go back there, and that's great. In some instances, this is very much the opposite type of thing, where I kind of I went to one of the kind of like civilized, they have kind of like, you know, a little kind of a village of people where they're having some semblance of a normal life. Went to the local pub, got a mission from the pub guy who's secretly communicating with some of the rebels. Had to go to like the other side of the map, and I had to navigate my way there, and I'm dodging all these encounters, and I'm stumbling, doing the classic thing you like in a Bethesda game. It's a kind of Bethesda adjacent, where you're kind of like, oh wait, there's a cave over here, I'm going to go in there, and oh, I found some resources, and I found this interesting stuff, and then you keep going. And so I finished this quest line, I spoke to these guys he wanted me to pass a message on, then I had to go back and claim my reward from it. I still haven't done it, because I had to like go, oh shit, I don't know how to get back, I can't just pull up a menu and go back, I have to figure out a new route. I just went this way, it was extremely difficult. I'm going to go this other way, and I had to do a lot of kind of like getting into a fight with people and then just kind of legging it after a while and kind of cutting my losses and seeing like, okay, I can see the door. It's not a full open world. It's kind of segmented off. So you have to load into each kind of like quarter of the map, which I think is pretty good. It also means that when you get to a door to the next region, that's basically freedom. So I was getting kind of hot and heavy trying to fight my way through some hostile territory to an exit, and then I just gave up on the fight. I was like, I'm chewing through my ammo, I'm losing all my resources. Let's just fucking run and see if we make it. And it's that kind of game. It's that kind of, you make that choice, and you know, there's no set route, there's no fast traveling. It's just you. It's very open ended. Also, I've been trying to not read about it, but it seems like there is. I can just tell from what I've stumbled across, it seems like there's multiple possible endings or routes to an ending.
Right. Okay.
Your goal is just to get out of this quarantine zone. You're very Fallout protagonist. You wake up, you don't know anything that's going on. There's a fella going, "You what, lad? You don't bloody know there's been nuclear explosion." And you have to piece it all together there. And you speak to a bunch of NPCs, and then it doesn't have a quest tracker like an Oblivion or an Avowed or anything like that. You have a list of leads, and so it organizes basically the notes you find, the conversations you have, and it's saying, maybe if you go over here, I heard there's such a person who might be able to get me a radio transmitter. And so it seems like I've discovered a couple of leads where it's like, okay, these look like ways out. It's like, which one do you want to tackle? Which one do you think you'll be able to do is kind of the way I'm looking at it. And from what I've seen, there's then different endings depending on who you go with. So it's not just there's an ending. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. There's a wall. Like I said, you're super weak. Your resources are super low. You're picking and choosing your battles very carefully. I think I mentioned this last week. I was like, this seems cool, but I don't know if I'm going to get through that wall. I got through it, and it is rewarding. So I would encourage people to give this a look on Game Pass if they are so inclined. Then I thought a little game you may have heard of called The Last of Us Part 2.
Wait a minute. What happens at the beginning of that game?
Their tact of re-releasing it every 2 weeks really worked. I did go for the PC version because I didn't do any of that stuff that was in the remaster, the PS5 version. So I was like, all right, I'm very curious about this. So I downloaded it. I played the first 2 hours or so or thereabouts. I then tried out their the no return mode. Did you give that a go at any stage?
No, what's that?
That is a new thing they added for this most recent remastered version. It's basically like a roguelike mode where basically you pick a character. You can play as there's 10 playable characters. There's like Abby, Ellie, Joel, Bill, Marlene. You can play as all these different characters. They all have different traits, and the encounters are all completely randomized. So you're like, okay, you're fighting through Jackson, but you're fighting Seraphites. And there's mods like in this round, the enemies are invisible. There's legitimately an invisible enemies mod. There's melee attacks cause people to burst into fire, things like that. It's a very, very fleshed out roguelike thing where it's a run based thing. And depending on which character you pick, you start with like one gun and one recipe to craft. Like Dina can craft trap mines, Ellie can craft Molotovs. So they really went in and they fleshed it out. It's cool. I did a couple of runs on it. I don't know if I'm gonna like. There's a lot to unlock in it. Like all the characters are locked at the beginning of it. All the skins are locked. So they put a lot of stuff in there to kind of hook you in. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but it seems well done. It is not just a tacked on little bonus. There's a million variables in there. It's cool. Other than that, it's that game. I'm playing on survivor mode, which is very hard, and I am playing with the commentary. They put audio commentary on the cutscenes for the remastered version, which are mildly interesting. Again, since I'm watching the show at the moment, it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to watch the show and then also watch the cutscenes again in real time. I was like, I'll stick the commentary on, and so you've got the writer, director, you've got the cast all there, and so you're getting those little insights. It's still a phenomenal game. That's that. How is the remaster of Oblivion treating you?
Well, if you want to play a game with excellent cutscenes, good, responsive gameplay, very, very little in the way of technical issues or bugs, then I would recommend you stick with Last of Us Part 2. Because Oblivion has all of those and more, and I love it. Never will you come across a more fundamentally broken game where everyone who plays it just goes, "Oh, I don't care. I don't care how broken it is." That's like the charm. What other company would get away with putting out a game with so many issues that people who play it don't care? That's how it is. Oblivion. Fucking, I got trapped in in one of the caves. There's these tree roots that come down from above. Sometimes you can see them coming through the ceiling, and I clipped onto one of them and just got stuck. That's the kind of game it is. I think I mentioned last week the lighting keeps breaking on me, so I'm outside and it looks like I'm in a disco for a few seconds. It does a thing as well where every time you leave a building, the lighting system they have in place, which isn't, I don't think it's ray tracing, but it's like a ray tracing adjacent system, loads in every time. So for the first second you come out, all the lighting has to load, and it does it really fast, which is a fun technical thing to see. But it does it every single time. It's like, oh yeah, this game, why does this load an extra second and then come out loaded? I'm sure there's a technical reason behind it. But the thing with Oblivion, compared to your Skyrims and your Fallouts of the world, is I think the quests are the most creative and fun that Bethesda have ever put together.
Yeah.
There's very little in the way of, and someone fucking said it to me today, I don't know what they're talking about, but there's very little in the way of, forsooth, my good man, yonder cousin who lives across the road hath not returned to me my garden hoe. Couldst thou please fetch it? There's very little of that. Very little redundant, fetch quests. And even when there is, it's really dressed up in such an interesting and fun way. I just did a quest today where I was in one of the towns, and I met a couple where the man had gone to the local pub, the local tavern, and met a couple of women who invited him back to their place for a bit of fun. And so when he got back to the place, they said, all right, time for the fun. Take all your clothes off there now, lad, and we'll do the fun. And so he took all his clothes off, and then the women brandished weapons and stole his family ring. And so you have to go down to the pub and hope that the woman is there. And so the woman comes up and goes, hey, do you want to have some fun? Meet us back at our farm. You go to the farm. And so the women say, right, take your clothes off there, lad. And you go, I don't think I will, actually. Yous are robbers, and I'm here for that ring. And so they attack you, and you unfortunately, you kill them all. And then the police show, or the police, the guards of the town.
Yeah.
And the guy from who you first met was an undercover guard. And they've been trying to catch these women for we're after these for months. And so it was like a really satisfying little story. Whereas, as I said, in a lesser game, ultimately what you've done is go to this area and kill these characters, which is a very mundane quest. But the story you get wrapped up in is so fun and so interesting that this game, I think Oblivion is the best I've ever played in terms of really dressing up the quests as something unique and fun and interesting. And I'm about 20-ish hours in already. Absolutely loving it. And one thing that I enjoy a lot about it is because it's from an older generation, it avoids a lot of the homogenizing that modern open world games like your Assassin's Creeds, your Witchers, even your Bethesda games.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they've all kind of learned from each other means that they all now kind of feel very similar. And you go back to an old game like Oblivion, dressed up as a modern game, of course, with the graphical remaster and all that. But the leveling system works differently, and the quests feel totally out of left field, and the characters are all super ugly in an endearing way. And it's just such a cozy. It's like the coziest blanket of a game. Obviously, it's hitting the nostalgia points for me as well. But it's such a simple game. It's like Football Manager in terms of you say, one more dungeon. I'll just do one more dungeon, and then you look down and it's 5 a.m.
Yeah,
it's one of those. And while the dungeons are a little bit repetitive in a way that Skyrim I do think improved on, I find nevertheless it's such a satisfying game loop where you just here's a whether it's a cave or whether it's an old castle, you go in and there's enemies to fight and there's loot to find, which is often very useful again compared to other games where sometimes the loot is very underwhelming. And the way you level up is fun as well. So I'm playing it very stealthy archer, which is the most fun way to play those games. So I go into a cave and I'm crawling and I'm one kill or one shot killing enemies with my bow, and it's just really, really fun and really easy to sink hours into. It's that kind of game. And as I said, unlike Skyrim, which I think is very good, but is also visually very one note. It is for the most part snowy mountains. Oblivion also is a bit more varied in its locations, and the towns all have individual architecture that make them feel very different from one another. So when you find a new town, it's not like a town you've been in before. It doesn't look like the town you've been in before. It doesn't have the same kind of characters or layout. And so there was one town had the castle where the local lord lives in. The castle was like outside the town. You had to go up this hill and the castle was up there overlooking the town. Even visually, you're like, oh, that's super different to all the other ones. So, I mean, I'm ultimately what I'm saying is I'm loving it. I think it's my favorite of those games. I obviously preferred Skyrim. Fallout, very different. So you could make the arguments for Fallout 3. I probably think of all those games, Oblivion to me is still the most fun, even in its jankiness. So, I mean, that's what I'll be playing for the next while. I'm absolutely loving it.
And plus, that's also good. You can just play that for as long, literally, as you want, because it's one of those ones that I'm sure if you were to mainline it at a certain point,
I will say, going back to it, it does feel a little smaller than Skyrim as well, which also works in its favor for me. It doesn't feel like a game that I'm going to have to put 1,000 hours into. It feels like a game that realistically you could do a lot of it in 50 hours, 50, 60 hours. But yeah, very, very good. And on Game Pass, so I did not have to pay for it either.
That's going to do it for the games for the week. What about we got any live experiences to talk about?
Went to a live experience on Friday. We saw comedian Kate Berlant, who I've seen before, at the Soho Theatre. She was doing a kind of workshop. This was more of a work in progress kind of thing, not a full tour, which was very funny. It was kind of, her last show we saw was more conceptual. This was just very much straight kind of stand up, which was very funny. Best part was, because it was a workshop, it only lasted an hour. So we got in at 7, left at 8, home by 9. I mean,
very good.
God bless.
What do I know her from? Oh my God.
She
definitely seen her in something.
She was in something recently.
Oh, she was in the US Taskmaster, is what it is. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she's in Sorry to Bother You and Once Upon a Hollywood as well. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, she plays the girl in the cinema ticket booth.
Yeah.
Talks some more. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. I haven't gone to a comedy show in a very long time.
Yeah, that's fun.
Did I talk about this? And I mean, this was 8 years ago, so I don't expect you guys to remember. I once bought tickets to a comedy gig and then forgot to go. And so I was over in Raheny and the tickets were in Leixlip. So there was not time to go and get them and go to the show, unfortunately. Just forgot. That was back in the day before you would have it on your phone. You would have like the physical tickets mailed to you. And if you didn't have them in your possession, sorry, buddy, you're not going to the show. Yeah, was a good show, Joe, yeah?
Yeah. Good fun. Intimate setting.
I do love a comedy show. I just don't go to very many. Okay, I listened to 2 EPs go on the week. Lil Nas X is back. So we both, or maybe all of us, enjoyed his first
album,
LP, his first album, which was called Montero. So he does have an upcoming album called Dream Boy, which I believe features or is going to feature a lot of the tracks off this EP. But the EP is called Days Before Dream Boy. It's up on Spotify. It has about 8 tracks on it. It's about 20 minutes long. And it's great. So happy to report that he's continuing that run of form. There's a good mix of instrumentals, which I think was one of the strengths of the first album, was that instrumentally it was very strong.
Great tune.
Great tunes. So the first track sounds almost like something like NERD might put out. It's
Okay.
Pharrell. I don't know if Pharrell was actually involved in it. It probably isn't. But it has that kind of instrumental to it. And then the latter half of the EP, I think there's some very strong stuff. I think Swish, there's a track called Swish, which I think is probably the standout. Was probably my favorite of the 8. I'll give you my thumbs up tracks here. Hotbox is the opening one. Like I say, that's got a bit of NERD to it. Swish, Right There, Need That Boy, and Lean on My Body. Those are I think the better tracks. Which, funny enough, I think Light Again is one of the tracks that had a music video for it. So that's kind of one of the singles. I actually didn't really care for that one, unfortunately. But Swish, Right There, those are probably the two best tracks on it. But I thought it was very good. I thought it was very listenable, dancey, poppy. But I thought the rapping and the lyrics were also maybe even better than on the first album.
Okay.
But I'll give it a thumbs up and I'll give it a big old recommendation. That was very good. And then I listened to Excelsior, which is something a nerd would say, but is also the new EP from Benny the Butcher, one of West Side Gun's rapping associates. They're in a group together. But he put out a really great record a few years ago that I listened to when I was doing the listen to an album every week gimmick, which is called Tana Talk 4, which was really great. But this EP is also very, very, very good. So it's again a 7-song EP. The first one is kind of just a little intro, so really a 6-song EP. 20 minutes 23 seconds. Sign Language was one of my favorite tracks on it. Duffel Bag, Hottie's Revenge, which is a silly name, but it's a very good track. And Toxic, those were my favorite tracks on that one. And again, very listenable, very different to, whereas Lil Nas X is very dancey and poppy. This is what I would say a little bit more like throwbacky, a little bit more classic, late 90s style to it. It's not necessarily like gangster rap. It doesn't have that kind of Dr. Dre style instrumental, but it's got kind of a big soul-y, like soul music style or kind of, almost feels like a hybrid. Almost feels like a mix between that late 90s style and kind of your more modern hip-hop instrumentals. But yeah, very, very good. So I'd recommend both of those.
Alrighty, and I think that's going to do it for this evening. The bumper edition of the show. Folks, thank you very much for listening. ChairShotPodcast.com is where you can listen to the show. It's where you can check out the Fantasy League. It's also where you correspondence like we got earlier on in Sorry, this is the return of our new bit where I laugh at the album art and the title as well. It's a great title. So ChairShot Podcast.com if you want to pop us a mail.
Sorry, it's the Mark Briscoe is getting me.
Yeah. Look closer, Lenny. Alrighty, folks. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back next week. It is goodbye from me. It is goodbye from Paul.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from Joe.
Goodbye.